Hey everybody, welcome to Why Am I Yelling? My name is Krista Rizzo, and today my guest, for the second time, because the first time technology was not our friend, is Eleni Anastos. And Eleni is a business strategist and prosperity coach who helps entrepreneurs and C-suite executives overcome money and mindset blocks so they can create the income, impact, and lifestyle that they desire. And I love every single one of those words. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much, Krista. It's great to be here, and we're not going to let technology rule.
We are not. We are going to push through. So I'm so excited you're here. We had a really great conversation last week.
Should have been there.
Some of you may have been, but then Facebook deleted it, so I don't know. So let's go back to the beginning, because I'm sure there are people that are going to see this who are like, I don't know what you're talking about. Prosperity, mindset, money, all of the things that are very important, especially to entrepreneurs like solopreneurs like ourselves. How did you get into having this be your specialty?
Well, I know firsthand how much of a contentious relationship many people have with money. You know, it's that butting heads. It's kind of that necessary evil. All those limiting beliefs we grew up with. There's never enough to go around. It doesn't grow on trees. No one's ever going to pay me what I'm worth. And I had to do a lot of my own work because I was born an entrepreneur. I was raised by entrepreneurs. Even though I spent a lengthy career in education, I always had that entrepreneurial spirit. And when I started and I realized, okay, I'm making my own money, I'm working for myself, I noticed all of those limiting beliefs starting to creep into my business, to creep into my life. And I'm like, oh, this is not going to work. This is not acceptable. So I started doing a deep dive, a lot of my own studying, and several, certifications and trainings in all about money and people's relationship with it.
I love that you say relationship with it, because you guys know I'm a relationship coach, and everything we do starts with a relationship. And whether it is having a relationship with a human or a pet or your favorite tumbler, or your favorite brand or your money, it is actually a relationship. And I feel like we all need to approach everything we do every day with that kind of mindset, because once you see your relationship with all of these things, especially money, as something that valuable, right? I feel like relationships for us, like anytime somebody says the word relationship, you immediately think of your partner.
Yes.
Or your romantic relationship, right? But it doesn't even start there. It starts right here with you, and then all the things that you touch every single day. So tell me about creating a relationship with money that makes sense for people to digest.
Well, if you want a rich and rewarding relationship with a spouse, with kids, with friends, with clients, don't you have to pay attention to them? Don't you have to give them positive attention? So how can people expect to have this rich relationship with money if they'd rather avoid it, treat it like the necessary evil? So they've got to start by paying attention to it and cultivating the connection to it. Because the reality is, money is so maligned. Like, money's the bad guy, money's evil. Yeah. It can't be. Money's neutral. It's really just a tool. It's energy. It's something we use for an exchange of services, something we use to advance ourselves. So when people say that, oh, I don't want to deal with it, or the bills come in and they just throw them or hide them, I don't want to look at it, or they're too afraid to even state their fees to a potential client, you are totally giving all your power away. You're making money the most powerful thing in your life. And I want people to get back in the driver's seat with money and put themselves in charge.
So it's interesting that you say things like money doesn't grow on trees and all of those things, right? Because that's what I learned, right? Money doesn't grow on trees. There's not enough, or being judgmental of people that had more than you, right? Because it's like, oh, those people, they have all the money and there's, right? So I didn't know any better. But I think it's important to create different kinds of mantras or affirmations or whatever it is around your money to make it turn into a friend.
Yes, because you can rewrite your money story at any point in life. And what most of us believe about money is obviously what we grew up with, either heard from our parents or other people that were significant in our lives. And I absolutely mean no disrespect to anyone. I'm sure
100%.
whoever was sharing with us, you're going to have to work too hard or money doesn't grow on trees. They were sharing that to help us, to protect us, wanting us to stay safe. But you have to examine all of those things that you did grow up with and see if it's serving you now as an adult. And that makes the difference. And yes, to flip it around, if somebody says, well, no one's ever going to pay me, what I'm worth, why should I raise my fees? Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't someone pay you? Flipping it around, instead of money doesn't grow on trees or money's scarce, because no one can accumulate any kind of wealth if they're stuck in that scarcity mindset. And the reality is there's an infinite supply of money. There really is. And it's still flowing. It's still circulating. And once people can accept that you're not going to run out, the supply is there, I want to help them build a bridge to connecting to it so they can bring it back in, so they can raise their fees, so they can have a positive relationship with it.
So then I was speaking from my own personal experience. It takes, you have to understand that this kind of relationship takes work, just like every other relationship.
100%.
Right? And so it's not an instantaneous overnight, I'm going to be able to raise my fees and get super rich tomorrow. Right?
No.
It's not like winning the lottery. It's not like it really does it takes work, and you have to understand what it means and what it means to you and how to appreciate it and respect it, like you say.
Yes.
So what is one thing you could, all right, we're going to probably talk about a bunch of different tips that you can have, right? But if I'm somebody who's coming to you and I really have a scarcity mindset, I don't know how to raise my fees, I don't know how to talk about money to a potential client, and I'm an entrepreneur, I'm not working for somebody else, right? Because now, when you take that leap into working for yourself, it's a big, scary leap. And you have the expectation that, oh, this is all going to go great. And a lot of times nobody tells you the truth. And I believe that, right? It's like, because when I remember when I was leaving my corporate job and I took a couple months to figure out what I wanted to do, when I turned it into a coaching practice and all this stuff, right? Nobody said to me, it's going to be hard. Nobody said to me, this is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life, except my dad's friend, who pulled me aside and said to me, listen to me, if you want to do this, it's going to take years of you not making a dime, probably, because you're going to put everything you have back into your business. And it's probably going to take you a little while to start making a little bit of money. You have to give yourself a few years, and you have to appreciate it and respect it and just do the work. And I feel like that's like a theme for all the things in our lives.
Yes. Well, how you do anything is how you do everything. There's always a connection. And I guarantee if someone has that contentious relationship with money, or they're too afraid to even present their fees to someone, so they're tolerating getting paid a lot less than they're worth, I guarantee they're tolerating shit somewhere else in their life that's not serving them. I had a former client, incredibly creative, talented entrepreneur. Her skill set was amazing, off the charts, but she was barely making ends meet, really struggling from month to month. And when we met and we started unpacking all that shit, all those old beliefs, and her parents, bless them, they did struggle. And her mom had a lot of apprehension, like, honey, we don't talk about money. Money's the bad guy. We're going to take care of that later. So it was always avoided. It was always put off. So when she first started her own business and she had to present fees to a potential client, she apologized. She'd say, and the fee is, and she said, is that okay? Like asking permission to charge what she was worth.
Right.
She also was tolerating a lot in the rest of her life, like the people she was romantically involved with. She was tolerating not getting treated the way she deserved to be treated. And she really was unhappy, but she just kept tolerating and accepting it. And when we unpacked all that stuff from childhood, and she realized she was carrying those beliefs into her adulthood, and she could become more empowered. And it did take a lot of work. It was not an overnight switch, as you're saying. 100%. You've got to build on it. It took daily practice. But when she got to the point where she was confident in stating her fees, she never asked permission. She would increased her income dramatically. And she ended up meeting the love of her life who treats her like gold because she stopped tolerating less than she deserved.
That correlation is so important, I think, because it's true, right? You allow things into your life, and a lot of times, and I'm talking to mostly women because women are typically the ones who tolerate more than men, just statistically. I'm not bashing anybody. I like all the boys. But, you know, owning who you are, knowing your worth, and knowing your worth is like limitless. Like there is no limit to what you can do, right? I'm raising 2 boys, so I tell them that all the time. But if I was raising daughters, I would say the same thing.
Yes.
I say it to myself every day. It's a part of my morning meditation practice, right? To get myself into the right frame of mind, to go talk to my clients, to go help them through their lives, right? If I can't do that for myself, then I'm doing my clients a disservice. So when you start unpacking that, where do you start? Like, do you start way back here?
Well, I first ask them exactly what their current situation is, and whether it's I'm struggling to cover my monthly bills, or I always find myself in debt, or I haven't increased my income in 5 years, whatever that current situation is. And then I always ask what they're most concerned about. And, for some people it's recognition, for some people it's love, it depends what their attachment is to it. Because some people really just care about being significant and they want to make money to validate that significance. And that's fine. We just need to understand your connection. But then as we go along and they come up with, well, I thought that I couldn't charge this. I thought that people wouldn't pay me more. Then that's all connected to what they heard as a kid. And really, to me, and I know you can appreciate this with all your amazing relationship work, we have to release that. But the first thing they have to do is forgive themselves for adopting that and carrying it with them. To me, we have to forgive first, then we can release.
Yep. I love that, because forgiveness in all relationships is super important. But I think it's also when you don't have the capacity, or you don't know how to have the capacity to forgive, right? Forgiveness truly is like letting it go. You gotta let it go, right? You can't harbor resentment. You can't go back to the situation, because I mean, we're all guilty of it, right? I mean, even if we haven't done it lately, but remember back in high school when something happened and you were like, I'm never going to talk to that friend again. And 20 years later, you still have that, I'm not talking to her. She was mean to me when we were in high school and we were 12. Right. I think forgiveness is a very important tool that we all need to learn and use every single day in our lives, because it helps us get better.
100%. And I remember the first time I came home from school really upset, like in elementary school, talking about something that, I was done wrong. This was a classmate in 2nd or 3rd grade. And I was so angry at her, and I was telling my mom, and my mom said, well, you're going to forgive Linda. And I said, forgive her, but she's the one that did the bad thing, And my mom said, listen to me, forgiving her doesn't mean she didn't do anything wrong. It means it no longer affects you. So, of course, as a kid, I just wanted to stay mad. But, Lord knows since then I've had countless opportunities to recall that lesson. You forgive so it no longer controls you. Otherwise, how can we move forward?
That is an amazing gift that your mother gave to you. Because I don't ever recall, I mean, like that, I don't remember anything of like, not that I wasn't taught forgiveness, but I think that, learning it in such a profound way from such a young age probably helped you along your journey, maybe a little bit faster than a lot of people.
Yeah, it made me realize that everything that is happening or has happened, I was always on the hunt for the lesson in it, the gift in it, the purpose for the pain. And now that doesn't mean I deserved it, I asked for it. And so anybody that's going to be listening to this, again, it doesn't mean you asked to be heard. It doesn't mean you deserved it. But for me to move forward and to let go, I always look for something that I can learn from it that's going to help me doing something in the future. That makes it easier for me to release all of the negativity attached to it.
No, go ahead, finish your thought.
Well, I was saying, even with money, of how people have, because they might reflect back and think, all those times that I could have been making more money and I could have been charging more, and then they can beat themselves up and they can feel guilty. And there's so much guilt and shame already connected to money. And if you're stuck in the guilt and shame of it, you're not going to grow. You're not going to attain the wealth that you want. And when I say wealth, by the way, I want people, without question, to define that for themselves.
Right.
Whether you want to make $50,000 a year, $5 million a year, anything in between, I want people to define that for themselves. But my point is, I want you to be in control of it. I want you to control the money. I don't want it to have power over you. Just use it as the energetic tool it's meant to be.
Energetic tool. That's a really, I think it's a good comparison or a good description of how you can actually view your money situation, or your money, how you deal with your money, how you handle money, right? Money is energy, and all the good energy you want, you need to bring that with you.
Yes, 100%. And again, it keeps you in the driver's seat. You know, like anything, like any tool, if you're a chef, you have lots of tools in the kitchen, you know, from knives and whatnot. They don't control you. You know how to use them to get exactly what you want, to get what you want to create. Or if you're a gardener, you have the gardening tools. You're creating what you want. Use the money to create the income and the impact, the lifestyle that you want.
Taking notes. So tell me, all right, so now you work with executives, you work with C-level executives, you work with entrepreneurs, you work with you run the gamut, I imagine, right? Your clients are probably from all different backgrounds. When somebody comes to you, are they looking to rewrite their entire story, typically?
They don't know that they are, but we do. We end up doing that. Because regardless of why they come to me, they may come to me, I don't know how to package my services, or I don't know what to say in a sales call, or I don't know how to present a proposal, you know, whatever it is. I always start with their money mindset, because whether you're an entrepreneur or that executive, money touches every aspect of a business. So I want to make sure they have a solid foundation with their connection to money and have them know that they are in control. It doesn't have to control them.
What is the greatest?
Especially.
Yes, I think so too. And so what is like one of the biggest tips or 2 tips that you would give to somebody who is maybe starting out on their journey? Like, is there a way that they can be prepared? Is there advice that you have? What is it?
Well, especially for entrepreneurs, and if you've never been an entrepreneur, or if you, for example, I have one of my clients who left corporate and now has his own consulting business. So he's never had to be in a sales conversation where he's presented his fees. So it doesn't matter how educated you are or what your background is, you know, uptown, downtown, that presenting the fees can cause a lot of anxiety. People like, oh my gosh, I'm getting to the point. It can. But I ask people, if you're at a dinner table and someone says, pass the salt, how do you react? Like, I just passed the salt. I want that same affect to be there when someone says, and the fee is. And if that means walking around your apartment, your house, saying it 1,000 times, and the fee for my services is $1,000, and the fee for my services is $1,000. You say it over and over, practice in the mirror if you need to, until it has the same emotion as just pass the salt.
Pass the salt.
Okay.
It's that, it really is that simple. It just doesn't seem like it
not
is.
Easy. Right. Nothing's easy. And like you had referenced in the beginning, any healthy relationship takes work. It's not easy, but it is simple. So I want people to get that anxiety out of them. And the more you practice it, think of pass the salt. Like sometimes I'll have a salt shaker right by my laptop if I have a big call. Just the reminder, pass the salt. Because it really is just about exchanging that energy. You're going to provide a wonderful service or a product, and you deserve to be compensated for it. And you sure as hell should not apologize for your fees or ask permission for them. No way.
Right.
So get to pass the salt and pay attention to the money coming in. I have clients use a money tracking sheet where they literally just write down each day the amount of money that comes in from all sources, whether it's income, refund, rebate, found money. Just put that number down. Takes you 2 seconds. Even on days when it's zero. Because I've had people say, I'm not putting the damn zero down. And I get it.
It's hard to see the zero.
It is, but that still means the money's controlling you. I'm not putting that zero down.
Right.
Put the zeros down. Then at the end of the month, you can look at patterns. And you can try to think of different ways to shift that. You can train your mind to look for other opportunities. Put the zeros down. That means you're still in control. And you can even make a game out of it. If you see too many zeros one month, okay, next month, I'm only going to have X number of zeros. Challenge yourself. Make yourself feel connected to it, not something that needs to be avoided. Because it really is just a number. And the money is just a tool.
So I just thought of this, but if I'm thinking, let me just in my brain, let me just track my week, right?
Okay.
But I think that a lot of people become entrepreneurs because they want to work smarter and not harder, right? Like I don't want to have a 900-hour work week to make my $60,000 salary or whatever. This is hypothetical or whatever, right? I want to be able to work, especially if you're doing it for yourself. Like what I do, I love so much. It's like I'll do it all day long and I'm not complaining about it because I'm being productive and I love what I do, right? But I also do it because of the flexibility of schedule. I also do it because if I can have 2 client calls in a week that covers, my income for the week or my income for 2 weeks, then I don't mind having a zero on a Friday because that means I get a day off and I get to spend that day on my paddleboard or on the lake with my kids or doing something for myself or my family or whatever, right? So I think that your mindset around the zero can also shift.
Yes, I love that. I love your examples 100%. So putting that zero down is you owning it. Like you want to go on vacation. Maybe you want to check out for a week or 2.
Yeah.
It's all good. Now, obviously, depending on your type of business or something, there could still be residual income, but the zero doesn't have to be the bad guy, but you can use it to look for patterns. And when you see patterns, then you can make different decisions that lead to different actions.
I love that. I think it's
I love your examples.
Oh, thanks. I just thought of it. I was like, what about this? Because I do think it's important. I think it's important for us to not have to always feel like we're grinding every single minute of every single day because it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And we've all been on that hamster wheel, right? We've all been in the, I have to make money. I have to, and I have to pay the bills and I have to, especially when you are working for yourself. It's like all of a sudden you're the paycheck, right? So I think people oftentimes feel like they can't stop because if they stop, what's going to happen?
Right. And I also use and really encourage everyone, not just my clients, to really focus on gratitude. Gratitude, like even when the bill comes, and one of my clients, he's probably still laughing at me when I said this. I say, I'm grateful for this electric bill because that means I had electricity. That means I had light. That means I could connect to my laptop. It means I could use my kitchen appliances. And he went, I never looked at it that way. Keep in a grateful mindset. And, you know, it wasn't always flowing in for me. I remember a time where I was driving home on a bridge because I live on a peninsula, and my car was breaking down. And every time it broke down, I had to stop, put it in park to get it started again. Now, this was a Saturday afternoon. Everyone's headed to the beach, bumper to bumper traffic. And I'm like, oh crap, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I started to get anxious and upset and angry. And then I'm like, no, I can't do this. This is not going to help me. And I shifted into gratitude. I said, I'm so grateful I'm not driving on snow and ice. I'm so grateful for all this traffic because it means everyone's going slow. I made it off the bridge. Luckily, there is a gas station that's less than a block from the bridge.
Right.
Dropped my car off, walked home. And at that point in time, I had $11 and 3 cans of beans to my name. And the mechanic called me and said, it's going to be between $700 and $800 to fix it. Do you want us to fix it? And I said, yes, go ahead. Now, knowing that they probably wouldn't accept $11 or 3 cans of beans as payment, but I refuse. I mean, it's a decision. I refuse to let myself go down the rabbit hole. And I just kept focusing on gratitude. Everything I was grateful for, from having a roof over my head to having those 3 cans of beans and the $11, to having running water. And I had already started my business, but it was, as you had referenced earlier, it was a rough beginning. And within 1 week of that day, I had over $22,000 in commission come in. So from $11 and 3 cans of beans to over $22,000 in a week. But I know without question, if I wasn't grateful for what I already had, I don't believe I would have drawn that in. Now, I had just met those potential clients just prior to that, but there was no discussion of us working together. They were just happened to be casual meetings.
Right. And I also want to make this clear to people that are watching. That was not for lack of work. It wasn't that Eleni just went out and just started saying, well, thank you for the sky and thank you for the air and thank you for all the things. It still takes effort on your part to make that happen, to reaching out to those potential clients who you had met and just probably followed up with and said, hey, we did that really great discussion the other day. How do you feel? What do you think? I was thinking of this. I'm coming up with another idea. This is what we do, right? But there are people out there who are probably like, wait a minute, if I just lay on my bed and practice gratitude all day, what's going to happen to me? Like you have to put the work in on top of that gratitude.
100%. I mean, I'm so glad that you brought that up. 100%. And it's the daily action. And I focus on the gratitude to keep my head on straight, because if I get depressed and angry, I'm not going to be productive. But when I stay in a place of gratitude and even future gratitude for what will come, then I'm being positive. I'm being proactive. I'm looking for things to do. I was taking daily action. So gratitude keeps me moving forward. But yes, without daily action, again, nothing is easy, but it is simple. It is simple.
Yes.
Keep moving forward. Take the daily action, whether it's the money tracking sheet, whether it's making calls. I mean, it's all about cause and effect, especially where money is concerned, which most people don't want to connect to. Well, money is the cause of my problems. No, it's not. You're the cause. Money is the effect. And I mean, no disrespect to anybody. This crazy pandemic, people have lost their jobs, businesses have shut down through no fault of your own. I mean the general pervasive pattern. If year after year, you're barely making ends meet, if year after year, you always find yourself in debt, then yes, you have to look in the mirror. You're the cause. Money is the effect. And by the same token, what if you have a fabulous month, your highest income month? Don't you want to know what caused it? Did you raise your fees? Did you make more phone calls? Did you offer a new product or service? So cause and effect is a good thing when you're connected to it.
Yeah. Yes, I agree 100% with that. And I also love that you bring up gratitude for what your future can look like, or you want your future to look like. I do that all the time. I'm like, oh, I am so thankful for my new 3-bedroom apartment in New York City that I can't even stand the view that we have. It's going to be so great. And you know what I mean? Like, just
Yes.
talk about the things that you want, the stuff, like not even the stuff, right? I mean, I have gratitude every day for the future of health and happiness and my children and all those things, right? So keep that in mind also. Keep that in mind too, that it's not just about where you are right now today. It's about the cause and effect that can bring you to what you want tomorrow.
Yes, yes, 100%, 100%. And again, not easy, but it is simple. Take the daily action. Yeah.
Take the daily action. And on that note, we are going to leave you guys. Eleni, thank you so much. This was really amazing. Such great ideas and tips and tools and wisdom from somebody who knows better than a lot of people. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here, and you can come back anytime you want.
Thank you. Thank you. It has been an absolute pleasure to connect with you, Krista. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you back here soon.